Well, welcome everyone to our Global Employability Expert Series. We have a new episode for you. I'm very excited for you to be here. And let's remind a little bit how our webinar works. So we are recording this session, so you can watch it later on, or you can share it with other people if you found it really interesting. Be attentive to your emails where we will send you the link. And also, if you don't know, we have our YouTube channel where you can subscribe. And there you have all different recordings from our last webinar. So you can find everything there. Remember, we have the Q&A section in the Zoom. I think you know where that is. You can write all your questions during the presentation, and after our speaker has presented, then we have 10 minutes to cover all these questions. And well, I'm Mirta. I'm the head of employability of virtual internships, and we have a great speaker today who's going to present a very interesting topic. So first, let me introduce our speaker. We have here with us today Dominic Palazzolo. He is the global head of partnerships development at virtual internships. And Dominic has lived within the higher education world for over 8 years and has been responsible for numerous strategic partnerships and initiatives aimed at widening participation for students and institutions worldwide. The nature of his role led him to connect with many influential people and has allowed him to gain experience and expertise in the topic he will present today. So the topic he will present today, very interesting topic for us, is online networking, okay? How to network from the comfort of your couch. So without further ado, welcome Dominic, how are you today? Thanks for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you, Mirta. It's great to be here, everyone. I'm calling from the Netherlands. I'm seeing just an outstanding assortment of time zones. So thank you all for being here. You know, it's fascinating right now. As Mirta introduced the topic, is that we're all living this topic right now. Most of us are, right? Many of us are on the comforts of our couch right now, and you're networking right now. You're in the chat right now, and you're networking. You're introducing yourself. So that is can't be understated that you're putting the work in right now. So that's fantastic to see everyone again across numerous time zones. So I am, as Mirta said, I am the global head of partnership development, and basically what that means is I'm in charge of sales on our team, mostly on the B2B side, if we're talking just in general business terms. And why that's relevant to today's topic is that for all of just like for everyone around the world, while my usual motives are to be out in public and to be shaking hands and going to meetings with different vice presidents and presidents of different institutions, different foundations and organizations, that has been limited, especially over the past year and a half, right? So it's really, the pandemic has really forced our hands in being experts at couch networking. And I'm certain the term existed, at least the hyphenated term existed, but really wasn't brought into the mainstream until recently. So, this is the reality that we live in right now. A lot of our networking has to be done on the couch, and I'm here to show you and give you some examples, some real life examples of how couch networking can be related to you as young professionals. So. And we're going to break it down in a couple ways here. So we're going to look at, when I look at the process, I like to keep things simple. I like to break things down in kind of easy steps that we can remember, that we can manage. And that's for everything that comes with networking, right? So we don't want to overburden ourselves with what could be considered maybe an uncomfortable experience. So we want to keep things very simple for us, so we don't overthink things, right? And so we're going to look at how we find events, right? I mean, this is step number one, right? We need to be able to find events that are relevant to our interests. Like it's kind of like choosing a course, choosing a class, perhaps finding things that are relevant to our interests that we can get excited and motivated about. So we're going to look at that. We're going to look at setting goals and planning and practice. I mean, this cannot be overstated that when we are looking at events and we found the right event, that we actually need to set goals for that event. It can be very simple goals, like I'm going to say 5 words, and that's going to be my goal. That's a goal. That's awesome. It could be I'm going to meet 5 people and get 5 people's emails. That's a great goal. So we're going to look at that. We're going to look at the challenges, of course, right? There are going to be challenges for everyone. It could be depending on personality. It could be depending on a number of factors. Introvert versus extrovert is where I was going there. So we're going to look at that. And then once we are at the event, and once we've set the goals and we've knocked down the challenges, we need to have a process when we are actually engaged with people at the event. So we're going to look at all of that together. And as Mirta said, feel free to just throw some questions into the chat. We're going to set some time aside to cover these questions. But so first, we're going to look at how we find events, right? Now, I've listed a couple, a few areas to begin. Again, I didn't want to jam pack it with just an abundance of information. I wanted to leave it open, get your minds thinking about the best places to begin. And I always start local. Always start local. Maybe it's a no-brainer for some, but it's not for everyone. It really narrows your search, and I think that is really good, a good way to start, of like, what is around me immediately that I can benefit from, whether it's at the city level, it could be at my neighborhood level, even further, it could be at the state level, or it could be at the province level or country level. For example, here in the Netherlands, we have the Dutch Chamber of Commerce, the Kamer van Koophandel. Like, that is a great resource for all businesses, but maybe I need something that's more specific to the North Holland region or to the city that I live in. So there are resources at every level. Secondly, and one that sometimes gets overlooked because they're maybe a bit ancient in maybe just the tone that they set as far as when you hear about them, are societies and clubs, right? So when you think of societies and clubs, sometimes we think of societies on campus, which are great resources that you have if you're at a university. But if you're not, and if you're already a young professional, start looking at clubs and societies that benefit you, that can lead you to meeting new people and engaging with new people that can help you along the way, right? Whether it's finding a job or whether it's finding clients, whatever the case may be. So we look at clubs like the Lions Club or Rotary clubs, right? They seem a bit ancient in nature, but they're not. They're incredibly useful and they're incredibly relevant to networking. Also looking at career-specific clubs. So one example I like to use, if you're a woman in STEM, right? And there are numerous societies popping up around the world right now, even at your local level, to get involved with being supported in your career and in your endeavors. Even as far as things like e-commerce clubs and robotics clubs and engineering clubs, they exist on campus, they exist in your cities, they exist at your state, at your province, and at your country level. So look there. Next is if you're fortunate enough to have a large alumni association at your university or your institution, don't overlook this. Yes, there are some alumni associations, most of them, to be fair, especially in the United States, that require fees to be part of the alumni association. Okay, that's annoying, but it's an opportunity to network, an opportunity to advance your career. But try to find those that are outside of that, right? So, the universities and colleges do have associations that do not cost money as well. So try to find them as well. Another one that I'm sure you're already doing is setting alerts or tags for events. Right? It could be as simple as, tagging an event, tagging a virtual event, tagging a virtual STEM event or a virtual e-commerce event, whatever is linked to your career, to your endeavors. Tag them, tag events in LinkedIn, tag them in Facebook, tag them in Instagram and Twitter. And that last piece, which is super important when it comes to networking and where to find events, and I stress this, like, never, ever be afraid to ask your inner circle, right? I know it sounds kind of weird, especially if you're in a job search, right? It can be humbling, have a little bit of humility in yourself to ask your friends if they know of any networking events that can lead you to an event, lead you to meet people. Ask them. It's great. It's a great resource. And I always tie this back to like an anecdote, right? So, when I started looking for events, I made a list of learning and development events when I was looking for jobs for many years, not for many years, but through my young professional days. And I started looking up learning and development events. I started looking up sales events, and it really kind of, and by tagging these on social media, it really opened the door to many events for me. And this is where I started meeting many people within the higher education industry and started making connections there, which ended up benefiting me in my career that I'm in right now. So now we found events. We need to make some goals. We need to plan. And I've listed them here. I'm just going to talk about them. So number one is, who are you? Why are you at the event? Someone's going to ask you that. Be prepared. But before you attend an event, you have to ask yourself, like, really take inventory of yourself. Who am I? Are you an executive? Am I an executive with 30 years experience? Probably not, right? So I'm just someone trying to get my foot in the door and meet people. That's probably more like it, right? That might cue you to say, might give you like a cue to say, I need to go into this event and listen. Maybe not talk as much, listen, take it all in, insert myself where I need to be inserted, right? So take inventory of yourself, understand your hard skills, your soft skills. What knowledge do you have of the event or of the industry you're about to go into as far as an event goes? Who do you want to connect with, right? Now we talk about personas, especially when it comes to like sales and in the marketing. We create these personas of who we want to connect with, who our client is, whatever that might be. I encourage you to do that. Like, it really helps you understand who you want to meet at the event. It could be something as simple as like they work within this industry, and maybe this role is someone who is in a position to hire. And they sell, this is their product or service, and I really believe in this product or service. And this person is an extrovert, high energy, just like me. This is the type of person I want to meet with. And you go into these events and you find that person or those people. And that leads into the next goal, right? How many contacts do you want to take away or do you want to walk away with, right? I'm a big believer in quality over quantity. So if we're setting a goal and we have this plan in place of this persona, I'm going to meet 5 people, even if I don't speak to them or I don't see them on my screen. I'm going to get into the chats and I'm going to go into breakout rooms and I'm going to try to find these people that fit my persona. And I'm going to try to walk away with 1 person. That's a great goal. Walk away with 5 people. That's a great goal as well. Don't be limited, but don't try to make it too much. And then of course, there's going to be challenges, right? Are you good at speaking when called upon, right? That's really nerve-wracking, especially if you're in a room full of, executives or people that are, high up in their industry, right? Are you being seen or heard? It's often hard to find your value, especially in an online event from the comforts of your couch, to be seen and heard. But there are ways that we can do this. You can insert yourself into the chat, right? You can insert yourself, have your camera on, right? That's a big one. Go into breakout rooms, be active and be seen in breakout rooms. Those are great. Breakout rooms, as you are probably aware, are, take an event of 300 people and consolidate it to 5 to 10 people and have that share a topic or a conversation. Maybe you don't understand the topic or the industry. That's okay. It's good to show humility. It's good to be humble, especially in these breakout rooms or in the in the webinar or whatever in general. You're in there in the event on your couch. You're putting yourself out there, so to speak, and you are just asking questions to learn more about the industry. And as a professional, even if you're in university right now and you start kind of feel that you don't understand the topic, it's true. You will likely not understand the topic, but asking questions at the professional level is always a good thing. And so you're just gaining a better understanding of the topic, and everybody in that meeting understands that. Maybe the event app is confusing. Like we're using Zoom right now as a webinar event, but maybe there's another app that's bespoke to the event. Maybe it's confusing. It doesn't have functionality you're used to. It's okay. It's okay to go in and out of events, right? That's fine. Just ask questions. Email the admin. That's fine. Ask in the chat if you're in there. If that's the only thing you can use, how do I do X, Y, and Z? Just ask questions. That's the best way to do it. You're engaged. And then staying engaged, right? You want to make sure that you stay engaged during the event, right? Trust me, the speaker on my end, it's tough to, we have the Q&A coming up, right? But it's tough to keep an audience engaged at the same time. It's tough to stay engaged if you're the audience, especially if it's a long one. We have short ones here, but if it's a long one, yeah, and you gear up for it, right? So try to stay engaged in the chat. Try to add links to relevant topics if you know of information regarding a topic. That's a great way to stay engaged and to be seen and heard. And then how do you start a breakout? That's a great transition here to having a process. So, during the webinar, during the calls, you've often found a persona of someone that you like, even if it's just through the chat or if they've spoken. Ask them for a breakout. It's super easy. Hey, Mirta. Hey, Dominic. Do you want to have a breakout? I want to talk to you about X or Y. Perfect. Make sure you let them know what you want to talk about. If you can't facilitate a breakout, that's no problem. That's a challenge, right? Or if breakouts aren't a part of the webinar or of the event, that's no problem at all. A good way to do that is to make sure that you put your name or obviously your email or information of saying in the chat, for example, anybody that wants to connect on this topic, here's my email, please reach out to me. That's just a great way to create your own breakout outside of the event. That's part of the networking experience. You're looking for the next step, but we'll get to that in a second. So I've listed 5 steps here. Get in, about them, about you, thank you, repeat, thank you and repeat, and then next step. Get into the breakout room, say hello, be seen, let everyone know you're there. About them, make it always, 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 always about them. Ask questions, because eventually others in that room are doing the same thing. They're going to ask about you, and this is your time to be seen, to be heard. You have the spotlight on you. You are on your couch. You straighten up a little bit, and you maybe dust some of the crumbs off you, and you shine. This is your chance to add your impact with the spotlight on you. Sometimes these breakout rooms are only 5 to 10 minutes based on the moderator. So when it's all done and you've had your chance to shine, thank everyone. Be polite, be gracious. Show some humility, show some humor in the process as well, especially if you don't know much about the topic or the industry. Have some fun with it. Everyone at some point was in the same boat. That 30-year executive was in that same boat at some point. So, and if there's time or there's a future breakout session, repeat those steps. Sometimes at webinars, sometimes at virtual events, there's 3, 4, 5 separate breakout rooms if they're long enough. Repeat these steps. And I promise you, if you are practicing and you're following these steps and you're not overburdening yourself with unachievable goals of walking away with 100 contacts, you will be able to do that last, most vital, most important step, which is the next step. Email. If you get email addresses, email them. If you get a contact list, make sure you hyper personalize the 5 contacts that you wanted to walk away with as your goal, that matched your persona. But still email those that were all in attendance on there. They might not have seen you, and they might have some relevance to you, and they might still fit that persona. So email the list, but really narrow in on those 5. If in that email, you've set up a call and you said you're going to call them when you say you're going to call them. That's an important next step. Connect with them on LinkedIn and introduce yourself. Send a personalized invite. Not a generic one, personalize. You're networking. It's all about personalization. If there's event feedback, give event feedback because it is important. Even if it's anonymous, it's important, and it makes you feel like you're having some closure on the event as well. And Yeah, I mean, for me, I know that's a lot of information, about 22, 23 minutes. But I really want to hear from you. I've been talking on my end, but I really want to hear from you who are living in this networking environment. What questions you have and what challenges you might have. So I'm all ears, and I'm here for you to help you overcome them. Hopefully from the couch.
Yeah, thank you, Dominic. Very interesting. I have one question while we wait for questions from the audience. Like, I mean, from Giuseppe, is it okay if I go to an online networking event and I don't have an ambitious goal? If my goal is just to, you know, learn, ask question, is that okay too?
Absolutely. I would say that most of us, especially as young professionals, if you've set a goal, it's all about goal setting. If you set a goal of attending three events a week, we'll call it, I don't know, it's ambitious, but 3 events a week. Maybe you say there's, two of them I'm just going to are just industry events. I'm just going to sit back and listen. I'm going to absorb, so that by the 3rd event, I now feel very well prepared in this topic, in this industry, to be able to speak intelligently. So that's, or with more confidence, we'll call it. So I think it's absolutely a necessary part of this, is to just gain industry experience. It's kind of like listening to a podcast, right? Except you have the screen on you and you can do it from your couch, and people you're more visible to people. They see your name if you ask questions. So.
Yeah, definitely. And okay, let's see. Do we have people? You can just ask any question you want to ask to Dominic about. Dominic, was it always easy for you to network?
It was not. I had a real fear factor of I want to make it relatable to the online events, not the in-person events. For the online events, kind of like with social media, you kind of have this nice dividing wall set up in front of you, right? So you feel more confident being present, but you don't feel, you maybe don't feel as confident how to insert yourself into the conversation or to start a breakout room. And that took a lot of practice. And finally, you just kind of throw caution to the wind and you say, hey, so-and-so, I like what you said about X. I want to speak with you about Y. And I mean, imagine the person on the other end, just the excitement that they have on their end of being like, wow, this person really liked what I said. I didn't think anyone was listening, which, by the way, PS, I'm still kind of waiting for questions. And that's just exciting to hear. So yeah, it made breaking out much easier. Now I see that there was a note from work, from VI, to say, talk about the in-person events too. There is it's a much different dynamic for an in-person event. And you really, really have to understand the concept of, as I talked about here, this get in, about them, about you. And number 4 is usually that get out part. So in-person events, it's get in, about them, about you, get out. Because you don't want to linger at an event and just hang out there. It's uncomfortable for you. It's uncomfortable for everyone. And so that's the only change to the in-person side. But there's a real science, I believe, and it takes a lot of practice. It does, to be able to just walk into a circle, understand which circle is inviting and which circle is not. So in person, it's easy, right? If the circle is a half circle, like a moon, they want people to join them. If it's a closed circle, yeah, move to the next one, right? You don't want to just jump in there, right, necessarily. It's different for an online event. Online event, you don't have this. So you can just be as bold and ambitious as you want to be to insert yourself into a conversation or into a breakout room. But once you're in that breakout room, like, be there, be present, say hello, be heard. You'll see that by doing so, immediately you'll have an immediate impact on the group. Your confidence will be high. So
absolutely. We have here a very interesting question. It says, could you give advice on how to create a persona without being fake or coming across fake?
So the persona is about the contact that you want to meet. So just want to be clear about that. So the persona, so a good persona for me, especially when I was a young professional and I was doing in-person networking, has been looking at not necessarily the company, but looking at the industry, right? Okay, this industry I want to be in, sports related, whatever it might be. Who makes decisions or who can help guide me on my early career, especially if I'm looking for a job, right? So I realized that, hiring managers had certain titles in the sports industry. We'll call it like, sports media industry. And so I started aligning myself with them. And then I said to myself, like, is the product that, or the team or the service, is it in align with my values of who I am? Will I feel good working for this company? So that's a question I always ask. And that's part of the persona of that person. What industry, what role, what product or service, and then the big thing is the personality piece, right? Does this person match my energy? Does this person match my, if it comes up, my, my morals? Does this person match my, what I need to get ahead and to help me and to guide me on my professional career? And if I think that was the persona that I created, and if I think that person would do that, I would go right up to them and I'd ask them directly for a meeting. Obviously, this is back in the early 2000s, so I would email them or call them and do things a bit differently then. But online, it's the same thing. It's no different. It's just you have a speaker or there's a breakout room with many people in there. You will find that person. You'll be like, "Ooh, I like this person," and you'll send them a message, and that's how you connect. Did that answer? Did that answer?
I wanted to add something, because I think it's, when we think of our persona, it's not that we create something that is totally different from us. So that could feel fake, but I believe that all of us, we have very different interests, right? We may be interested in sales, in something very professional, but we also like, I don't know, sports, fishing, hockey, I don't know. And all these parts of ourselves are ourselves, right? But maybe for some person that we know is more interested in fishing, then maybe I can approach the person from this side. And then it's not like I'm creating a fake personality, or, it's just like adapting and like making sure that what I'm showing also aligns with the person, the audience, right? So I think that's interesting in terms of, it's not that we're being fake, it's just like we are showing different parts of ourselves, and that's good too, right?
Absolutely. The networking is about being genuine, right? People can see through you pretty quickly, even if you're in a breakout room and you've met them. People are able to see if you're being genuine or not, right? But here's the thing: is that if you've created this persona and you've created this plan, if you've gone into a breakout room for a network, for an online event, it's very likely you're in that room to be genuine. You know what I mean, right? You're in that room because there's a breakout room that matches my fishing industry, right? That part of the persona requirement. And you get into that room, so there's that genuine piece, and you see there's 10 people in there, and there might be 2 people that you're like, wow, I really like this person. Like their energy is high. They're both, marketing managers in the outdoors, outdoor, sports world. So that relates with the fishing industry. This would be great to really pick their brains about, about the outdoor sports industry, and maybe they can make an introduction to me to so on, and to someone. And then, connect with them, connect with them in the breakout room, and kind of related to Michael's question about sending LinkedIn messages and being effective there, is that connecting with them on LinkedIn, you have a very short amount of time of characters to be able to make high impact. It takes some practice, right? But the most important thing is to say, hello, I saw you, or I met you at X event. And then as opposed to refreshing the entire topic that they talked about, or why you like them, or why you think that you should connect with them, keep it about what you want to get out of that connection immediately. And I say this because they will know why you're connecting with them based on the fact that you met them at a certain event, right? And so Michael, you said that you've been to seminars, right? So they know why you want to connect with them. So by saying, I met you at X seminar, right? I'm interested in connecting about why. Are you open to connecting? And then thank you and Dominic, right? That's how I would sign off there. So that's that next step. Are you open to connecting? That's the call to action, we call it in sales, right? Of making sure you try to set up a next step. And not everyone's going to reply, but you'll start to find a sweet spot through practice of what really gets people engaged in responding to you. So
yeah, definitely. We have another question. It says,
sure.
Is it possible for a university to invite maybe the Chamber of Commerce, different companies to a different school? This way, try to eliminate the pressure of inserting ourselves in conversations, but rather have the comfort of talking one-on-one with company or person of interest, and thereby get a chance to network. Is it easier or a bit too much to ask? What do you think?
The first part of that is yes. Ideally, your universities or institutions should be having events like that, as opposed to the overall major career fair where it's just you and hundreds or 1,000 students in a gym, in an auditorium. You want something a bit more intimate. So at that level, I would say maybe check with a local club or society that facilitates those types of events. So like if there's a business society on your campus, and that's the college, you're in the College of Business studying, maybe focus on that for smaller events. And oftentimes they loop in alumni to those events as well. And this alumni piece is important too, because like that's an immediate shared interest that you have with alumni. So that can't be overstated. Like if you have a chance to go to this event, maybe through your college, like your specialty college, as opposed to the university in general, like maybe the College of Business as opposed to the overall university, maybe focus on that. And then you're right, for the one that asked the question, it does take the pressure off. Even if it's you and 50 people, it's a much different dynamic than 1,000, 1,000, or can even call it 100 students to one speaker or to one company, right? It's a little less competitive to have it more narrow. So check into that. Check into your I'm using American terms here, but there's the overall university, and then they have like the College of Business or the College of Sciences. Check into the smaller College of Business or College of Science route. They should be facilitating events like that.
Yeah,
and if they're
definitely.
not, ask them.
And you know what I've found also very useful? Well, I'm addicted to learning, and I'm very happy on that because now we can learn everything. And so I've been participating in different courses. Like last week, I finished one about public speaking because I love public speaking. And during the course, even if I wasn't like technically there to network because I was there to learn, I made sure to, write down the names of the people I saw that interacted on the chat, even if I didn't speak with them. And then I added them on LinkedIn. And that way I saw, oh, we have something in common, right? Even if at the beginning it was not a networking event. And then I could connect with this person and said, hey, I see we have very similar interests. And I think that's also important, right? To think that maybe we can be networking even if we are not properly at a networking event, right?
Absolutely. Anytime that you're engaged with more than yourself, it's an opportunity to network, right? This is especially relevant to someone in their job search. I mean, listen, if you're at an event and you're surrounded by fresh graduates or soon to be graduates or young professionals, you might think that there's little value in walking away from that online course or that online seminar without connecting with not just everybody, but a few specific people that you share, again, those personas, right? But you don't know, maybe at that time, that one of them might have just been offered a new job, right? And they are going to be working for a company that has 20 openings and exactly what you want to be doing, an opportunity for advancements. And that might not have been shared at that time during that seminar, but they can immediately introduce you to the hiring manager knowing that there's a need. So these are just, as you said, Mirta, like this is just a good practice to always be networking, always have your eyes and ears open for opportunity to help others but also help yourself. And that's a big thing too. Make sure that you always pay it forward. It's a big part of networking, is that you have to pay it forward for others as well. Eventually it will work, it will benefit and pay out for you, but please don't forget to be humble and gracious and pay it forward always. It does come back around, I promise.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something we want to remember. We never know when, a good opportunity may come from, or where, from someone you met some time ago. And so I think it's always important to be grateful. And something I like to do is whenever I finish a course, I post it on LinkedIn and said, hey, I participated in this great course. I'm very happy. Thanks to the the person who organized. And then I, have some people commenting, and then my network starts moving, right? And so I think it's important also to follow other people on LinkedIn commenting. When someone gets a new job, that's a great opportunity to network. Say, hey, congratulations on your promotion, on your new job. And I think congratulating people I don't really know, but I feel good when other people I don't face to face know, they send their good, I feel like, oh, that's nice. And so I feel connected even if I don't know the person, and that creates, I feel that I'm working towards creating this persona, like you said, and contributing to creating more connections.
Yeah, you really nailed it there. I mean, the LinkedIn obviously is a great tool for that, right? For paying it forward, for paying your compliments, for receiving receiving praise for a course that you've just completed. It is a great tool. I mean, obviously LinkedIn speaks for itself, but it's always good to go in to have a plan. Make sure you have a plan. Make sure you pay it forward. Make sure when you're at an event, as I kind of put the steps up here, these are really just meant to be get in, about them, about you, thank you, and repeat depending on breakout rooms. These are just meant to serve as a guide. You can obviously, everyone's going to have their own process, but definitely have a process, whether it's online or in person. Online for this term. I'm wondering, just in the chat, like how many people are actually on their couch right now? That's just a fun question to get a gauge. Don't be shy. It's part of being seen and being heard.
Yes, I was actually thinking, that what about if, as a way to finish our webinar in a very active way, those who want, they can share their names in our chat, and maybe you can add each other on LinkedIn, and then you leave the webinar with some contents on LinkedIn. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, for me and
listening. You can start adding me. I'm going to share my name, so you can have your, why not, first contact if you still haven't created your LinkedIn account. And then if you share your names, then you can find each other and start creating or making your network richer. What do you think?
Or just add your link to LinkedIn if you'd like. There's my LinkedIn.
Yes, definitely.
I'd like for you to add me. You never know where it's going to lead to, everyone, right?
Definitely.
At your own discretion, of course, everyone, for privacy purposes, of course.
Absolutely.
So at your own discretion.
Those who want, we can definitely do that, so we can end our webinar having more contacts, and who knows, in the future, I'm going to share mine as well. And do we have any more questions before we leave?
Everyone has my LinkedIn, so if there are questions that come up or related to this webinar as well, definitely send messages to Mirta and her team, or to myself. We would be glad to obviously help and support everyone on our programs, and everyone in attendance today. So
definitely. So thank you very much, Dominic, for being here today. I think this has been very informative. I really like what you said about being grateful, connecting. I think that networking is a lot about interacting with others. Sometimes we don't necessarily have like a concrete goal in terms of, oh, I want to find out this, but I just want to connect. And connection is about being yourself, asking a lot of questions, and making feel the other person welcome and comfortable, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It's taking your social setting and then just moving it online, right? And that meaning your in-person setting and moving it online. The only difference is that you're doing it from the comforts of your couch in this instance online as opposed to being in person. But have a plan. Always have a plan. Practice, practice, practice. We're gonna be sharing this webinar as well, as Mirta said. So if you need to go back and review some of these steps as well, please do. And if you have any questions, of course, reach out to Mirta and her team or myself. And you do that via hello@virtualinternships.com for that.
Well, thank you very much, Dominic, for being here today. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Hope you had a very informative session. It was for me. So see you next time for our next webinar, and have a great day.
Bye, everyone.